The bright lights of the studio felt hotter than usual as Karoline Leavitt sat in the guest chair, her fingers gripping the armrests tightly. She had imagined this moment countless times before, appearing on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, to talk about her groundbreaking work on quantum entanglement and its potential for revolutionizing space travel. This was supposed to be her big break, a chance to share her passion with millions of viewers. But instead of excitement, she felt a knot forming in her stomach. Stephen Colbert leaned forward in his seat, his trademark grin widening as he turned toward her. "So, Karoline," he began, his voice warm but tinged with curiosity, "you've been making waves in the scientific community lately. Your research has some people calling you the next Einstein, but—" He paused dramatically, glancing at the camera before looking back at her. "There are also rumors swirling around that suggest your breakthroughs might not entirely be your own." Karoline blinked, caught off guard by the sudden shift in tone. The audience murmured, their whispers filling the silence like static. She forced herself to smile politely, though her heart raced. "I'm not sure what you mean," she said, her voice steady despite the storm brewing inside her. Colbert tilted his head slightly, feigning innocence. "Well, there have been accusations, serious ones, that you may have borrowed ideas from someone else, specifically the late Nathan Brooks." He let the name hang in the air like a dark cloud. Nathan Brooks. Just hearing his name made Karoline's chest tighten. He had been a brilliant scientist, respected and admired by many. They had met briefly at a conference years ago, exchanging emails about theoretical physics. That was it. Nothing more. Yet here she was being accused of stealing his work. "That's ridiculous," Karoline replied firmly, leaning into the microphone. "I never plagiarized anyone's research. My findings are based on years of my own hard work." Colbert raised an eyebrow, clearly enjoying the tension. "But there's evidence, Karoline. Emails reportedly sent between you and Nathan just months before his untimely death." With a flourish, he gestured to the screen behind him. A series of email screenshots appeared, each one showing conversations supposedly between her and Nathan. The dates matched, the topics aligned, and even the language seemed eerily familiar. Karoline stared at the screen, her mind racing. Those emails weren't real, at least not completely. Some parts looked doctored, stitched together from fragments of old messages she couldn't recall sending. How could this be happening? Who would go through so much trouble to frame her? "Wow!" Audience gasped, their collective shock reverberating through the room. Karoline swallowed hard, trying to compose herself. "Those emails are fake," she said, her voice rising slightly. "Someone is manipulating the truth to discredit me." Colbert held up his hands defensively. "Hey, I'm just the messenger. If these allegations are false, then surely you can prove it, right?" Her jaw tightened. Prove it? How could she possibly disprove something that had been fabricated so meticulously? Still, she refused to back down. "I will get to the bottom of this," she declared, locking eyes with Colbert. "And when I do, everyone will see the truth." The buzzer signaling the end of the segment rang out, cutting her off mid-sentence. As the cameras panned away, Karoline exhaled sharply, feeling the weight of the accusation pressing down on her shoulders. The applause from the audience felt hollow now, tainted by doubt and suspicion. Backstage, Laura Bennett, Karoline's best friend, rushed over to her side. "Are you okay?" Laura asked, concern etched across her face. She handed Karoline a bottle of water, which she accepted gratefully. "I don't know," Karoline admitted, shaking her head. "This feels deliberate, like someone wanted to ambush me tonight." Laura frowned, crossing her arms. "You think this is part of something bigger?" "I don't know what else to think," Karoline replied, her frustration bubbling to the surface. Whoever did this went to great lengths to make it look convincing, and why now? Why drag Nathan into this? Laura placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We'll figure it out. Whatever it takes, we'll clear your name." As they walked toward the exit, Karoline couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. Glancing over her shoulder, she spotted a man standing near the stage door, his face obscured by shadows. He wasn't applauding or chatting with others. He simply stood there, staring directly at her. When their eyes met, he turned and disappeared into the crowd. A chill ran down her spine. Something wasn't right. This wasn't just about stolen research or professional jealousy. It was personal. Someone out there wanted to destroy her, and she had no idea why. Image description for generating an image from Leonardo AI. A tense scene in a modern television studio during a late-night talk show. A female scientist named Karoline Leavitt sits in a sleek leather chair under bright studio lights, wearing a professional yet slightly disheveled outfit. Her expression shows determination mixed with anxiety as she faces the host, Stephen Colbert, who leans forward with a curious grin. Behind them, a large digital screen displays forged email screenshots. In the background, a live audience reacts with surprise and murmurs among themselves. The atmosphere is dramatic and suspenseful, with soft blue and white lighting highlighting the tension. Karoline sat alone in her hotel room, staring blankly at the wall. The weight of what had happened on live television was sinking in. She replayed the moment over and over in her mind. The emails, the accusations, the audiences. Gasps. It felt surreal, like a nightmare she couldn't wake up from. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand beside her, breaking the silence. It was Laura Bennett calling again. "Are you okay?" Laura asked without waiting for Karoline to say hello. "I've been trying to reach you since the show ended." "I'm fine," Karoline lied, rubbing her temples. "Just overwhelmed." "You need to fight back," Laura said firmly. "You can't let them get away with this smear campaign. Whoever is behind it wants to ruin you." Karoline sighed deeply. "But how? I don't even know where to start. Those emails looked so real. If I try to deny everything, people will just think I'm lying." Laura didn't hesitate. "Then dig deeper. Find proof that those emails are fake. Start by looking into Nathan Brooks's past projects. There has to be something there that connects all of this." Nathan Brooks. His name echoed in Karoline's thoughts. He had been a brilliant scientist, known for his work on quantum mechanics. But he had also been secretive, often working on classified government projects. She remembered hearing rumors about one project in particular, something called Eclipse. No one knew exactly what it entailed, but whispers suggested it involved cutting-edge technology far beyond public knowledge. "I'll look into it," Karoline said finally. "But I don't have much time. Whoever framed me won't stop until they bury me completely." As if on cue, her laptop emitted a loud beep. Startled, she opened it to see a blue screen flashing an error message. Her files were gone, erased without warning. Panic surged through her veins. Someone was watching her. Someone didn't want her digging any further. Before she could process what had happened, her phone lit up with a new notification. A text message appeared on the screen. "Stay quiet if you know what's good for you." Karoline froze, her breath hitching. She showed the message to Laura, who immediately grew serious. "This isn't just about your reputation anymore," Laura said grimly. "It's bigger than that. You're onto something dangerous." Despite the fear creeping into her chest, Karoline resolved not to back down. She needed help, though, and fast. That's when she thought of Alex Carter, a journalist known for exposing corruption in scientific circles. Alex had written several articles criticizing unethical practices in research labs, including ones funded by defense contractors. If anyone could help her uncover the truth, it was him. The next morning, Karoline met Alex at a small cafe downtown. He was younger than she expected, dressed casually in jeans and a hoodie, with messy hair and glasses perched on his nose. Despite his laid-back appearance, there was a sharpness to his eyes that told her he was no ordinary reporter. "So," Alex began after ordering 2 coffees, "you're telling me someone forged emails to frame you for stealing research from a dead guy?" "In a nutshell, yes," Karoline replied dryly. "But it's more complicated than that. I think it's tied to a secret project Nathan was working on before he died." Alex raised an eyebrow. "Secret project?" "Do tell." Karoline explained everything she knew about Eclipse. keeping her voice low so other patrons wouldn't overhear. By the time she finished, Alex was leaning forward, intrigued. "If what you're saying is true," he said slowly, "then we're dealing with something huge, maybe even illegal." Over the next few hours, they brainstormed ways to gather evidence. Alex suggested starting with Nathan's old colleagues, hoping to find someone willing to talk. Meanwhile, Karoline decided to visit the university where Nathan had worked, hoping to access archived records or lab notes. As they left the cafe, a man approached them. He was tall and broad-shouldered, with short brown hair and piercing green eyes. "Karoline Leavitt?" he asked, his tone cautious. "Yes," she replied, instinctively stepping back. "My name is Ryan Mitchell," he said. "I used to work with Nathan. I heard about what happened on TV last night." Karoline exchanged a glance with Alex. "What do you want?" she asked warily. Ryan hesitated, glancing around as if checking for eavesdroppers. "Look, I do." The next day, Karoline and Alex sat in a quiet corner of the university library, surrounded by dusty books and old journals. They had spent hours combing through Nathan Brooks' archived research papers, hoping to find anything that could shed light on Eclipse or prove the emails were fake. So far, they hadn't found much, just vague references to experiments involving quantum entanglement and faster-than-light communication. "This is hopeless," Karoline muttered, rubbing her temples. "It's like he didn't leave any real trail behind." Alex leaned back in his chair, tapping his pen against the table. "Maybe not here," he said thoughtfully. "But what about off campus? Didn't Nathan have a private lab somewhere?" Karoline frowned. She had never heard of such a place, but it made sense. If Eclipse was truly as secretive as the rumors suggested, Nathan wouldn't have kept records in a public archive. "If he did, I don't know where it is," she admitted. "And even if we found it, how would we get inside?" Ryan Mitchell's warning echoed in her mind. Whoever was behind this conspiracy clearly didn't want anyone poking around. Still, she couldn't ignore the possibility. "We need to find out more about Nathan's last days," she said finally. "Maybe someone at the university remembers something unusual." They split up to cover more ground. While Alex interviewed professors who had worked with Nathan, Karoline visited the administrative office to request access to personnel files. The secretary, an older woman named Mrs. Dawson, eyed her suspiciously but eventually handed over a thin folder containing basic employment details. Flipping through the pages, Karoline noticed something odd, a handwritten note tucked inside. It read, "Server location MT724, password, Eclipse." Her heart skipped a beat. Could this be it? A hidden server containing all of Nathan's research? She quickly snapped a photo of the note before slipping it back into the folder. Later that evening, she met Alex at a diner near campus. "I think I found something," she whispered excitedly, showing him the picture. "This has to be where he stored his data." Alex studied the note carefully. MT724, Montana, he guessed. There's a tech facility out there disguised as a data center. If this is real, it could be our best shot. As they discussed their plan, Ryan Mitchell walked into the diner. He spotted them immediately and hesitated for a moment before approaching their booth. "You two are persistent," he said, sliding into the seat across from them. "I warned you to stay out of this." "And I told you I can't," Karoline shot back. "If you really cared about Nathan, you'd help us figure out what happened to him." Ryan sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Fine, but if I do this, you need to promise me one thing. No cops, no media. This stays between us." Karoline nodded eagerly. "Deal." He glanced around nervously before continuing. Nathan was working on something big, bigger than anyone realized. He called it Eclipse, but it wasn't just about communication. It was a weapon, something capable of manipulating time itself. "A weapon?" Alex repeated, incredulous. "That sounds insane." "It is," Ryan confirmed grimly. "And when Nathan found out what they planned to use it for, he tried to shut the project down. That's why he's dead." Karoline felt a chill run down her spine. "Who's they?" she asked softly. Ryan shook his head. I don't know everything, but I do know this. If you're going after Eclipse, you'll need backup. Let me come with you. Though skeptical, Karoline agreed. With Ryan's insider knowledge, they might actually stand a chance. Image description for generating an image from Leonardo AI. A dimly lit diner at night, with a small group sitting in a secluded booth. A female scientist named Karoline leans forward intently, holding a piece of paper with a handwritten note. Across from her sits a journalist named Alex, wearing glasses and looking puzzled, while a third man, Ryan, watches them cautiously. The table is cluttered with coffee cups and notebooks, and the warm orange glow of the diner's lights contrasts with the tension in the air. The drive to Montana was long and tense. Karoline, Alex, and Ryan traveled in a rented SUV, the hum of the engine filling the silence between them. None of them spoke much during the journey, each lost in their own thoughts. Karoline stared out the window, her mind racing with questions about Eclipse and what they might find at the hidden server. Location. Would it hold the answers they needed, or would it lead them into even greater danger? When they finally arrived at the remote facility disguised as a data center, the site was unremarkable. A plain white building surrounded by tall fences topped with barbed wire. Security cameras scanned the perimeter, and a single guard stood near the entrance, looking bored but alert. This is it, Ryan whispered as they parked a safe distance away. MT 724. Karoline took a deep breath. How do we get inside? Ryan pulled out a small device from his pocket. I used to work for these people, he explained quietly. This gadget can disable the cameras for a few minutes. It won't last long, so we'll need to move fast. Alex nodded, adjusting the backpack slung over his shoulder. Inside were tools they had brought for hacking into the system. Let's do this, he said firmly. Under the cover of darkness, they approached the building. Ryan activated the device, and the nearest camera flickered off momentarily. They slipped through the gate and hurried to a side door marked Authorized Personnel Only. Using a combination of lock-picking skills and brute force, they managed to pry it open. Inside, the air was cool and sterile, lit by fluorescent lights that buzzed faintly overhead. Rows of servers lined the walls, their blinking lights casting eerie shadows across the room. Karoline led the way, searching for the one labeled MT 724. When she found it, she typed in the password scrawled on the note, Eclipse. The screen flickered to life, displaying folders filled with encrypted files. Alex quickly connected his laptop to the server and began downloading everything he could. This will take a few minutes, he muttered, his fingers flying across the keyboard. As they waited, Karoline browsed through some of the decrypted files. What she saw made her blood run cold. Eclipse wasn't just a theoretical project, it was fully operational. The documents detailed plans for a device capable of altering events in the past, rewriting history itself. Worse still, there were memos outlining its potential use as a weapon to destabilize governments and control populations. This is insane, Karoline whispered, showing the files to Ryan. They wanted to manipulate time for war. Ryan looked pale. I knew it was bad, but I didn't realize how far they'd gone. Suddenly, an alarm blared, shattering the quiet. Red lights flashed throughout the room, and heavy footsteps echoed down the hallway outside. Someone had discovered their presence. We need to go, now, Alex shouted, yanking his laptop free just as the download finished. Panic surged through Karoline as they scrambled toward the exit. Guards burst into the room shouting orders and brandishing weapons. Just as they reached the door, Ryan turned back. Go ahead without me, I'll hold them off. No, Karoline protested, grabbing his arm. We're not leaving you behind. Ryan shook her off gently but firmly. You have the evidence, that's all that matters now. With that, he grabbed a fire extinguisher from the wall and hurled it at the guards, creating enough chaos for Karoline and Alex to escape. Outside, they sprinted toward the SUV, adrenaline fueling every step. Behind them, shouts rang out, followed by the sound of gunfire. As they jumped into the vehicle and sped away, Karoline glanced back at the facility one last time. Ryan was nowhere to be seen. Her hands trembled on the steering wheel as she drove, tears streaming down her face. She didn't know if Ryan would survive, but she owed him everything. Thanks to his sacrifice, they had escaped with the truth, and a fighting chance to expose the conspiracy. Image description for generating an image from Leonardo AI. A tense nighttime scene inside a high-tech data center, with rows of glowing servers lining the walls. A young woman named Karoline stands in front of a computer terminal, typing furiously while red emergency lights flash above her. Nearby, a journalist named Alex kneels beside his laptop, frantically transferring files. In the background, armed guards storm through the doorway, their silhouettes visible against the flashing lights. The atmosphere is chaotic and suspenseful, with shadows cast dramatically across the sleek metallic surfaces. Back in New York, Karoline and Alex worked tirelessly to analyze the files they had stolen from the data center. The information was overwhelming, pages upon pages of technical jargon, schematics, and memos detailing the true purpose of Eclipse. It wasn't just a theoretical experiment. It was a fully developed weapon designed to manipulate time itself. According to the documents, its creators intended to use it to alter historical events, destabilize nations, and reshape the world order. Karoline sat at her kitchen table late one night, surrounded by printed papers and open laptops. Her eyes burned from exhaustion, but she couldn't stop. Every new discovery made her heart race faster. She found references to secret meetings, high-ranking officials involved in the project, and even a timeline for when Eclipse would be activated for the first time. Worst of all, she uncovered evidence that Nathan Brooks hadn't died of natural causes. He had been assassinated because he tried to expose the truth. "This is monstrous," Karoline muttered, shaking her head as she read another memo. "They're planning to rewrite history, like it's nothing." Alex nodded grimly, scrolling through his own notes. "And if we don't stop them, they'll get away with it. But exposing this won't be easy. Whoever is behind Eclipse has power, money, and connections." Karoline clenched her fists. "Then we hit them where it hurts, their reputation. We go public. Let the whole world see what they've done." Alex hesitated. "Are you sure? If we release this, there's no turning back. They'll come after us harder than ever." "I know," Karoline said firmly. "But I'm tired of running. It's time to fight back." The next day, Karoline received an unexpected email from Stephen Colbert's team, inviting her back onto the show. At first, she thought it might be a trap, an attempt to discredit her further. But then she realized it was the perfect opportunity. With millions of viewers tuning in, she could finally tell her side of the story and reveal the truth about Eclipse. She accepted the invitation immediately, knowing it was risky but necessary. Over the next few days, she and Alex prepared meticulously. They compiled irrefutable proof of the forgery used to accuse her, including metadata showing the emails were created months after Nathan's death. They also selected key excerpts from the stolen files, highlighting the most damning details about Eclipse without revealing too much and risking their safety. On the morning of the show, Karoline felt a mix of fear and determination. She dressed carefully, choosing professional yet approachable attire, and practiced her talking points over and over again. When the car arrived to take her to the studio, she took a deep breath and stepped inside. Backstage, Laura greeted her with a tight hug. "You've got this," she said encouragingly. "Just stay calm and stick to the plan." As Karoline waited for her cue, she noticed a familiar face in the crowd, a man in a dark suit watching her intently. Was he with Vanguard Industries? Or someone else entirely? She forced herself to focus, reminding herself why she was here. When she walked onto the stage, the audience erupted into applause. Stephen Colbert welcomed her warmly, but his tone quickly turned serious. "Karoline, last time you were here, things got intense. Since then, the accusations against you have only grown louder. Do you still stand by your claim that you didn't plagiarize Nathan Brooks' work?" Karoline leaned forward, her expression steady. "Absolutely. Those emails are fake, and I can prove it." She held up a folder containing the evidence, which she handed to Colbert. This metadata shows the emails were fabricated months after Nathan's death. Someone went to great lengths to frame me, the audience murmured, clearly intrigued. Colbert flipped through the documents, raising an eyebrow. That's quite the revelation. But let's talk about Nathan himself. There have been rumors about his involvement in a classified project called Eclipse. Any thoughts on that? Karoline nodded. Eclipse isn't just a project. It's a weapon. It's capable of manipulating time itself, rewriting history to serve those in power. And Nathan didn't die of natural causes. He was murdered because he tried to stop it. Gasps rippled through the audience as Colbert stared at her, visibly stunned. That's a bold claim. Do you have proof? Yes, Karoline replied, pulling out more documents. These files were stolen directly from the people behind Eclipse. They detail plans to activate the device for the first time within weeks. If we don't act now, the consequences will be catastrophic. The studio buzzed with chaos as cameras panned between Karoline, Colbert, and the shocked audience. For the first time, Karoline felt a glimmer of hope. The truth was finally out, or at least part of it. But as she left the studio later that evening, she couldn't shake the feeling that the real battle was only beginning. Image description. For generating an image from Leonardo AI. A tense moment on a late-night talk show set, with a female scientist named Karoline sitting across from host Stephen Colbert under bright studio lights. Karoline holds a folder filled with documents, gesturing emphatically as she presents evidence to disprove accusations against her. Behind them, a large screen displays shocking revelations about a secret project called Eclipse. The live audience reacts with surprise, leaning forward in their seats while the atmosphere is charged with suspense and drama. The moment Karoline stepped off the stage, her phone began buzzing nonstop. Messages flooded in from friends, colleagues, and even strangers who had watched her expose the truth about Eclipse. Social media was ablaze with hashtags like Justice for Karoline and Stop Eclipse as people rallied behind her cause. For the first time in weeks, she felt a flicker of hope. But that hope was short-lived. As she walked toward the exit, a black SUV pulled up beside her, its engine idling ominously. The tinted windows made it impossible to see inside, but Karoline instinctively backed away, her pulse racing. Before she could react, Alex appeared at her side, grabbing her arm. "We need to move now," he said urgently. Without hesitation, they darted into an alleyway, weaving through shadows until they reached Alex's car. He sped off into the night, glancing nervously in the rearview mirror. "They're onto us," he muttered grimly. "If we stay in one place too long, they'll find us." Karoline nodded, clutching the folder of evidence tightly in her lap. She knew Alex was right. They couldn't afford to let their guard down. Whoever was behind, Eclipse wouldn't stop until they silenced her for good. Over the next few days, Karoline, Alex, and Laura went completely off the grid. They rented a small cabin deep in the woods, far from prying eyes and listening devices. It wasn't luxurious, just a single room with creaky wooden floors and no Wi-Fi. But it was safe. There, they huddled around a table, strategizing their next move. "We've exposed Eclipse to the public," Alex said, pacing back and forth. "But that's not enough. We need to hit them where it hurts. Their plans to activate the device." Karoline flipped through the stolen files, searching for clues about when and where the activation would take place. Finally, she found something. A memo detailing a secret meeting aboard a luxury yacht off the coast of Miami. The note read, "Final preparations for Phase 1 activation. Attendance mandatory." "This is it," Karoline said, pointing to the memo. "If we can get onto that yacht, we might be able to sabotage the system before they use it." Laura frowned. "How do you plan to pull that off? You can't exactly waltz onto a private yacht full of powerful people." "We don't have to," Alex replied, his eyes lighting up with an idea. "We pose as staff, caterers, servers, anything that gets us close enough to plant a virus in their system." It was risky, but it was their only shot. With little time to spare, they gathered supplies and drove south to Miami. Once there, they scouted the marina where the yacht was docked, memorizing security patterns and timing the rotations of the guards. By the night of the meeting, they were ready. Dressed in uniforms and carrying trays of food, Karoline and Alex blended seamlessly with the catering crew. Laura stayed behind, monitoring their progress remotely via earpieces. As they boarded the yacht, Karoline felt her heart pounding in her chest. Every step felt like walking a tightrope. One wrong move and everything would fall apart. Inside, the yacht was opulent, its polished floors reflecting the glittering chandeliers above. Wealthy businessmen and government officials mingled casually, sipping champagne and discussing mundane topics as if they weren't conspiring to rewrite history. Karoline scanned the room, spotting Victoria Hayes, the ruthless CEO of Vanguard Industries, standing near a group of men in suits. Her sharp features and commanding presence made her unmistakable. Alex nudged Karoline. "There's the control room," he whispered, nodding toward a door marked "Restricted Access." 2 armed guards stood outside, but Alex had anticipated this. Earlier, he had hacked into the yacht's security system, creating a fake fire alarm to draw the guards away temporarily. As soon as the guards left their posts, Karoline and Alex slipped inside. The room was filled with computers and monitors displaying live data streams from the Eclipse device. Working quickly, Alex inserted a USB drive containing a virus designed to corrupt the system. "This will disable the activation sequence," he explained quietly. "But it won't destroy the device entirely. We'll need more time for that." Just as Alex finished, footsteps echoed in the hallway. Someone was coming. Karoline grabbed a nearby clipboard, pretending to review inventory. As the door opened, to her relief, it was Ryan Mitchell. "Yo." The escape from the yacht felt like a blur. Karoline and Alex sprinted across the marina, their footsteps echoing against the wooden docks. Behind them, shouts erupted as guards realized the system had been sabotaged. Red emergency lights flashed aboard the yacht, casting long shadows across the water. They didn't stop running until they reached the car Laura had waiting for them. As they sped away, Karoline glanced back at the chaos unfolding behind them. Her heart ached for Ryan, who had stayed behind to buy them time. She prayed he would somehow make it out alive, but deep down, she feared the worst. Despite everything, his bravery gave her strength. She wasn't going to let his sacrifice go to waste. Back at their hideout, a quiet cabin tucked deep in the woods, they regrouped. Laura greeted them with relief, hugging Karoline tightly. "Did it work?" she asked anxiously. Alex nodded, pulling out his laptop. "The virus should disable the activation sequence temporarily, but we need to act fast. If they figure out how to override it, Eclipse will still be operational." Karoline sank into a chair, exhausted but determined. "Then we hit them where it hurts most, their leadership. Victoria Hayes is the key. If we can expose her publicly, the whole operation falls apart." Laura frowned. "But how? She's untouchable. Someone like her doesn't leave trails." "She does now," Karoline said firmly, pulling out the files they had stolen earlier. "These memos link her directly to the conspiracy. If we release them to the right people, it'll destroy her reputation, and Vanguard Industries along with it." Over the next few days, they worked tirelessly to compile the evidence into a single, irrefutable package. They included not only the memos but also video footage of the yacht incident, secretly recorded by Alex during their escape. Every piece of information pointed directly to Victoria Hayes and her role in developing Eclipse as a weapon. Their plan was simple, yet risky. They would leak the evidence to multiple news outlets simultaneously, ensuring it couldn't be silenced or buried. At the same time, Alex reached out to trusted contacts within government agencies, urging them to investigate Vanguard Industries. It was a gamble, exposing themselves further, but they knew it was the only way to stop Eclipse permanently. On the morning of the leak, Karoline sat nervously in front of her computer, watching as headlines began to explode online. News anchors reported live from outside Vanguard headquarters, questioning employees and demanding answers. Social media lit up with outrage, calls for justice, and demands for accountability. Within hours, Federal agents raided Vanguard's facilities, seizing equipment and arresting top executives. Victoria Hayes herself was taken into custody, her calm demeanor cracking under the weight of the accusations. Cameras captured her being led away in handcuffs, her face pale and expressionless. For Karoline, seeing that image was both satisfying and sobering. The woman who had orchestrated so much destruction was finally facing consequences. But the fight wasn't over yet. That evening, as the world processed the revelations, Karoline received an unexpected call. It was Ryan Mitchell. His voice was weak but steady. "I made it," he said simply. "Barely." Tears welled up in Karoline's eyes. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything." Ryan chuckled softly. "Don't thank me yet. We're not done cleaning up this mess, but for now, take a breather. You've earned it." Image description for generating an image from Leonardo AI. A dramatic scene showing a luxury yacht at night, surrounded by flashing red emergency lights as chaos unfolds on board. Guards rush across the deck, while wealthy individuals in formal attire look on in confusion. In the foreground, two figures, a young woman named Karoline and a man named Alex, sprint away from the yacht carrying a folder of stolen documents. Their faces are tense, illuminated by the dim glow of the marina lights reflecting off the water. Weeks passed, and the fallout from the Eclipse scandal dominated global headlines. Vanguard Industries crumbled under the weight of investigations, lawsuits, and public outrage. Victoria Hayes faced countless charges, including conspiracy, fraud, and manslaughter for her role in Nathan Brooks's death. The world watched as one of the most powerful corporations unraveled, its secrets laid bare for all to see. For Karoline, life slowly began to return to normal, or at least as close to normal as it could be after everything she had endured. She returned to her lab, grateful to focus once again on pure science rather than espionage and danger. Yet the experience had changed her. She no longer saw research as something isolated from the real world. She understood now how deeply intertwined science was with ethics, power, and responsibility. One morning, as she worked on a new experiment involving quantum entanglement, Laura walked into the lab carrying a bouquet of flowers. "Congratulations," Laura said with a grin. "You're officially cleared of all accusations. The forged emails have been traced back to Vanguard Industries." Karoline set down her tools and smiled, relief washing over her. "It's about time," she joked lightly. But behind the humor was a profound sense of vindication. All the lies, the fear, the sacrifices, it hadn't been for nothing. Her name was finally free of suspicion. Later that day, Alex called to share more good news. Thanks to their efforts, international laws were being drafted to regulate advanced technologies like Eclipse. Governments around the world recognized the dangers of unchecked scientific progress and vowed to prevent similar abuses in the future. Karoline's courage had sparked a global conversation about accountability and transparency in research. Despite the victory, Karoline couldn't shake the memory of those who had helped her along the way, especially Nathan Brooks and Ryan Mitchell. She often thought about Nathan, wondering what he might have achieved if his life hadn't been cut short. His legacy lived on through her work, a reminder of why truth mattered. As for Ryan, he disappeared shortly after his phone call. He left no forwarding address, no explanation, just a brief note thanking Karoline for trusting him when others wouldn't. Though she missed his presence, she respected his decision to vanish. Some battles left scars too deep to heal, and perhaps Ryan needed solitude to find peace. Karoline decided to honor both men by continuing their shared mission. She founded an organization dedicated to promoting ethical practices in science, ensuring that discoveries benefited humanity rather than harming it. With funding from supportive allies, she built a team of researchers committed to transparency and collaboration. Months later, Karoline stood on a stage at a prestigious conference, delivering a keynote speech to a packed auditorium. As she spoke about the importance of integrity in science, she felt a sense of purpose stronger than ever before. Her journey had been long and painful, but it had also taught her resilience, bravery, and the value of standing up for what was right. When the applause faded and the crowd dispersed, Caroline lingered on the stage, gazing out at the empty seats. In her mind, she pictured Nathan and Ryan sitting there, smiling proudly. They had believed in her when few others did, and because of them, she had found the strength to change the world. With a quiet smile, she stepped off the stage and walked toward the exit. Outside, the sun was setting, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. For the first time in months, Caroline felt hopeful, not just for herself, but for the future of science and humanity. Image description. For generating an image from Leonardo AI. A confident female scientist named Caroline stands on a brightly lit stage at a conference, delivering a passionate keynote speech to an attentive audience. Behind her, a large screen displays images of quantum physics equations and futuristic technology. The room is filled with rows of chairs occupied by people clapping enthusiastically. Warm golden lighting highlights Caroline's determined expression as she speaks about ethics and integrity in science.